and all the banks just keep closing. Hey everybody, M.A. Baxter here. My friends call me Andy, so I hope you do too. As I've been listening to the news a little bit, I haven't had a lot of time to go online and do a lot of searching, but as I've been listening to the news, listening to the radio, there have been several more high-profile, culturally diverse, let's say, well, I'm not going to say that. Let's just say progressive banks that have gone under. None of them are quite the size of the Silicon Valley Bank, but I think that there are some of those coming. There's having some ripple effects through Europe. There's that one bank, Credit Suisse. They're having tremendous problems. And what's going on is that a lot of people like me that have worked hard, we put our money in these institutions, and we believe these institutions to be safe. A lot of people are getting very nervous. A lot of corporations are getting very nervous. A lot of small business owners are getting very nervous, and they're going to their banks and trying to get their money out. I don't know if everyone's quite aware of this, but in 2020, due to the pandemic, our government, the Biden administration, eased the rules on banks about having a reserve. It had already been cut back to where they had to have 10% of the balance of what the money that their depositors had put in the bank. They had to retain 10% of that in cash. Well, in 2020, they reduced that further down to zero. So if, for instance, if you take and you go to the bank and you deposit $10,000 into the bank in cash, or a cashier's check from where you sold a house or whatever, and you deposit that into the bank at 9 o'clock in the morning, first thing in the morning. Before 2020, the bank was required to keep $1,000 of that in cash available at all times. Well, after 2020, because of the COVID thing, they all of a sudden said that they don't have to have any of that cash. So they immediately started lending this cash out. So a lot of people at this time, because of the crisis going on, they're going to try to get their cash out of the banks, and the banks don't have the money. They just don't have the money. So that's the problem. That's what's going on with the banks, and that's why a lot of smaller banks are going to get hit, as well as some of the bigger ones that really made very questionable loans to some very questionable companies that just basically deserve, because of their own stupidity, to lose money. I feel sorry for their depositors. I feel sorry for the people that have loans through these banks. But, you know, do your research. If you're not investing your time and effort to learn about where you're putting your money, your hard-earned money, you know, bad things can happen to you. And it does all the time. I went through 2008. I remember clearly 1987, 1988. I was in the military at that time. I remember during the late 70s, I was very young at that time, but I remember parking in line along the road because a gas station had gas and you could buy $5 worth a week. I remember these things going on where I live. I mean, I grew up in a pretty poor part of the nation, but yeah, there was some bad times back then. And I hope we don't get back to that point again, but what's kind of going to happen is the banking industry and the banking machine in the United States especially, but pretty much globally, it's got to shake off some of the dead weight, and some blood's going to be shed whenever that happens. And I just hope it doesn't affect any of y'all. I really hope it doesn't affect me, but I hope I've been smart enough with my money and I've got it placed in enough diverse investments that I'll be okay no matter what happens. But I really hope it doesn't happen to any of y'all. If you like the content I'm putting out, please like this video, send me a message. Let me know, let's start a conversation. If you got some friends that might be interested in this type of content or any of my other type of content, I mean, I've got all kinds of stuff in here. Send them, share it. Share my video with them. Maybe they'll like it. Maybe they'll start a conversation. Anyways, that's all I got for today, folks. We'll talk to you tomorrow. Bye.